Hey everyone, hopefully having a good day. My name's Andy, channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our gold and silver technical analysis update. I'll give you my financial opinion and we'll dive right into it. We're going to start with the dollar, go to the 10-year yield and so on. So the dollar was up today. Again, this is relative strength. Dollar's been weaker absolute strength, but it's been stronger relative against other currencies. Basically, it's telling us that the inflation expectations of the dollar are less so than other currencies. That's really all it is telling us. But it's gone up, and usually when the dollar goes up, dollar-denominated assets are preferable. The 10-year yield was up today. Momentum is heading slightly lower. So we've had a higher yield. We're at 3.205. A higher yield and a higher dollar are not necessarily good for gold. Gold likes lower dollar. That's what it really likes. The yield, I think we could have a lower dollar with increasing yield, and the price of gold would like that. But right now, we've got higher dollar and higher yield, and gold went sideways today. So it doesn't look bad. We've got nice slow leak off of sellers. We're still on top of a pattern here. So everything looks good, but we haven't launched yet. We're waiting for buyers to come in and play. And we're seeing that across the board. Silver's starting to roll over a little bit, getting a little bit more selling pressure. Here it is today, a little bit more selling pressure. And the buyers have not stepped in here. And platinum basically just moving sideways within its falling wedge. That is a wedge on top of a wedge. It's a big wedge. We broke out and we're just moving sideways here. It's like it's waiting for inflation or something to spark it. And that spark hasn't happened yet. This is also a very cheap metal of all the metals. Looking at XAU to gold ratio, this ratio continues to kind of just drift lower. We really need to break out of this downtrend line. That is where things will really start to heat up. I call that the need to break this line for happiness line. But we have been pulling back, and we haven't gotten that the right market conditions, or people just, they haven't jumped on this train yet. We're still waiting. Karora Resources selling off still. We are still in this downtrend. I have not seen a reversal candlestick yet. We did have some buying pressure here that looked good. That's a bullish engulfing, but sellers came right back, answered it, and just pushed it lower. So I'd say the sellers are still in control here. I have not seen a clear bottom. A little bit more selling pressure in EXK. I still like that it's sitting on top of the pattern, but the buyers got to step in at some point and show us that they're alive and kicking. But right now, the sellers are showing up today and getting a little bit more selling pressure across the board here. This is Fortuna Silver Mines drifting sideways. SILJ getting a little bit more selling pressure. This is a bearish engulfing to head lower, potentially. Sideways to lower. GDX, we're getting some selling pressure here. That's a bearish engulfing where we could potentially head lower. The sellers keep showing up here, guys. They keep showing up. And we'll do a quick look at the overall markets at the end of this as well, because the overall markets are also selling off some. Metallic minerals moving sideways. This one actually doesn't look too bad. It looks a lot better than the other ones. Koya Resources coming to a point, just moving sideways. Discovery Silver getting a little bit more of a sell-off, heading towards its support line at about 90 cents. First Majestic Silver getting a little more of a sell-off. Again, they're starting to close quite strong too. I don't like seeing a large down candlestick with a strong closing. Newmont selling off some. Mag Silver, that's a bearish engulfing there. We could head a little bit lower in the short term. Yamana Gold, bearish engulfing, could head lower in the short term. Impact Silver just drifting sideways. Aftermath drifting sideways. That doesn't look too bad. PLG, a little bit more selling pressure there. Finishing quite strong on the closing as well to the downside. Simony Stillwater selling off. Some good momentum to the downside. Sandstorm Gold, that's a bearish engulfing. We could head a little bit lower in the short term. And again, guys, this could only be a couple of sell-off days. We have to see what happens here. We've already had a 35% pullback on this. So Franco-Nevada, bearish engulfing. We could head lower. EMX moving sideways. We've got Tootin Resources getting some selling pressure today and finishing strong. Wheat and precious metals, bearish engulfing, could head lower on that as well. That's what this candlestick, it engulfs the one before it. It's a very short-term movement. It's not a very, we could go down 1 or 2 days and reverse, but in the short term, it is bearish. This is a bearish engulfing here, and that's what followed behind it. This is another bearish engulfing here, and we could see another leg lower possibly. Gold royalty getting some selling pressure. At least it's got a little wick at the bottom. Some buyers showed up, bought it up a little bit. Metallo royalty getting some stronger selling pressure. Mavericks metals bearish engulfing, which means we could head lower in the short term. Royal Gold moving sideways. Osisko Gold royalty bearish engulfing, could head lower. And then Altius Minerals just moving sideways above its support line. That one looks a lot better than the others. So gold and silver, higher yield, higher dollar. Looking at what we see in the overall kind of, we'll call it the overall ETFs and all that, it does look like we could pull back further in the short term. Now, let's look at the S&P 500 real quick, just to throw it up there. We're also getting some selling pressure in the S&P 500 here. It was down a good amount, 2%, and the composite was also down about 3%. So, higher yields, higher dollar. These overall stock markets aren't liking this. We're getting selling pressure. It's finishing quite strong to the downside. I don't like seeing the overall markets go down this amount, because it's going to drag everything else with it. If you're down 2 or 3% in the overall markets, it's kind of a deleveraging event. I still think there could be downside left in the overall market. So I've been very hesitant to be bullish on anything at this time. I still think that there's cheap sectors. Don't get me wrong. I still like uranium. I still like some of these other sectors. But with the selling pressure in the overall markets there, I think we could see kind of a sell everything type move. And it's still sticking around. So I'm being patient here. I'm just going to wait, see what's going on. And I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait for the markets to kind of calm down. This may take a good amount of time. It may not be quick. It may take months. It may take a year for this to all kind of blow over. So right now, I'm just going to relax for a little bit and watch what the markets do. And if we continue to sell off, I'm gonna just be like, look, hey, I'm just gonna back off of it and see what happens. If you guys like this analysis, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you guys would like. Platinum membership. I'm gonna have to move the timing. It's probably gonna have to move to a different day and different time. So I'll put that on the website for the question and answer session the next time, because I'll be traveling on that day. So we'll have to figure something out there, and I'll do that. But right now, guys, I'm just holding on. I'm not selling anything, but I'm not really buying anything either in the gold and silver area. Would I buy physical metals? I would. I have something like platinum. I would continue to buy it myself, but the mining companies are very subject to the whims of the paper prices and the overall markets. And I don't have as much of a feeling like that with the physical metals. So physical is more of a safety type move. So yeah, I would still buy physical metals like platinum, but I'd be much less so in the mining companies at this time. All right, guys, we'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.